All right, so we've got emergency housing relief. That was an executive order from the Trump administration. Trump signed it himself in the Oval Office. And we'll talk. Actually, I think this might have been one of his on the stage signatures. I can't remember if this was in the Oval Office or on the stage. He was signing these all over the place. He's been signing them in limos, signing them. He's just signing them all day long. I'd be icing my wrist. I'd be worried about my golf game if I was Trump signing this many executive orders. But there's one that relates to housing. We're going to break it down. Is there going to be a benefit for the housing market? Is there actually emergency relief to what households are dealing with in terms of their incomes and what they're spending out there? So any relief to housing, we'll break that down. There are generations that are framing the luxury market. Which key demographics are shaping luxury real estate? Home profits for 2024. Sellers who sold their home in 2024, how much did they actually make? Are they up? Are they down? Mortgage rates, of course, we're going to get into that with Skelly. There's been some talk here on mortgage rates and the 10-year potentially stabilizing a bit this week. What does that mean? And then we've got a CT insider story on LA fires driving people to Connecticut from California. Is that the case? We'll break that down. Let's start with, we usually start with rates, but let's start with this emergency housing relief, this Trump executive order. We'll get into rates later, Skelly. So, and I don't think there's much on rates here this week, but we'll break it all down for you, of course, so you can understand where the rates are. So we'll start here with this executive order. That's the big news. Can Trump's executive order actually lower housing costs? So there's an executive order that is from a White House memorandum. They want to defeat the cost of living crisis. Okay. You can go to whitehouse.gov for this. Whitehouse.gov, by the way, completely, just being taken over, obviously, by the Trump administration. So you're seeing things change in real time on that website. And this cost of living crisis executive order includes mentions of release of a relief for housing costs. So here's directly from the White House memorandum. I hereby order the heads of all executive departments and agencies to deliver emergency price relief consistent with applicable law to the American people and increase the prosperity of the American worker. Sounding good so far. This shall include pursuing appropriate actions to lower the cost of housing and expand housing supply, eliminate unnecessary administrative expenses and rent-seeking practices that increase healthcare costs, eliminate counterproductive requirements that raise the cost of home appliances. I'll tell you what that one is about in a second. Create employment opportunities for American workers, including drawing discouraged workers into the labor force, and eliminate harmful, coercive climate policies that increase the cost of food and fuel. Obviously, the administration's also pulled out of some of these, the Green New Deal. I think Trump was at Davos yesterday calling it the scam Green Deal or something. He's got a nickname for that. Pulled out of the Paris Accord. So they've already taken steps to pull out of some of these deals where we're paying, foreign groups money for climate causes. Instead, he's gone and went with the, opening up drilling on U.S. to increase energy. So that does tie into housing costs. So let's segment this out. You've got some of the climate stuff and our ability to produce energy here. That's one segment. This one, that I don't know why it got a line, because I'm going to explain it here in a minute. Eliminate unnecessary administrative eliminate counterproductive requirements that raise the cost of home appliances. So he mentioned home appliances, so we got to put that in a bucket. But then the other bucket would be just this line, which is the most vague line I've seen maybe in any executive order, which is lower the cost of housing and expand housing supply. Okay, when you dig into the order, reducing regulatory burdens. So focusing on that first bucket of increasing housing supply and lowering the cost of housing. It's a free market, so lowering the cost of housing is a confusing statement, because it's not like you can be like, okay, here on, Saturday, January 25th, we're going to reduce housing costs on the market by 10%. Nobody, even Trump himself, would be in agreement with that. It's a free market. Home sellers should put their house on the market for what they want to put their house on the market for. But here's how this executive order is saying they're going to accomplish that goal. Reduce regulatory burdens. Regulatory requirements currently account for 25% of the cost of constructing a new home. Restoring purchasing power. So according to the new administration, Biden administration's regulatory policies added nearly $50,000 in costs per household. Trump's first agenda, he cut those costs by $11,000 per household. Now, when they're saying regulatory policies, that's outside of just housing regulations. That's all regulations is how they're coming up with that $61,000 net difference between, the 16 to 2020 policies versus 2020-24. And then number 3, expanding housing supply. The order prioritizes increasing housing availability while reducing administrative expenses and other rent-seeking practices. At the bottom of this order, the Trump staff is to basically have a meeting with him every 30 days to see, if these are going in the right direction.